Hello, Tar Heel Nation. Welcome back to the UNC Hoops Talk podcast. This is Dan DeWitt, your host, coming at you from my headquarters here in Tennessee. Thanking you once again for hopping on, listening, watching the podcast, sharing it out, and joining in such a joyous week that we've had this past weekend, week, whatever you want to call it, as a Tar Heel Nation, as Tar Heel fans. And I'm just glad that you're helping me unite Tar Heel Nation. So going to jump kind of right into it. Not really any new news. Jalik, nothing has come out. Seventh Woods is back playing, minimal minutes. Hopefully get a little bit more here and hopefully continue to improve as he gets back to give Joel a little bit bigger rest periods during each game. Last week, a little bit short of a podcast. It seemed like from the numbers, you guys liked that. It worked well. So I'm going to try that again. I might not dive quite as heavy into the numbers of these 3 games. But that might not be easy for me as I kind of do like the stats and looking into and what happened in the game. So we'll see how I do with that. And let me know, should I keep it more to 15, 20 minutes? Do you like the half-hour podcasts? Obviously, it depends on how much news and stuff there is to talk about. I'm not just going to babble to keep you guys here. But that being said, I'm going to stop doing that and jump right into first the Duke game last week, Thursday. We ended up with an 82-78 victory, kind of a game of runs. We got out to an early, I think, 10-point lead. Maybe it wasn't that big. We had a little bit of an early lead. Well, I guess even first, they dominated us on the boards early. They had like 6 offensive boards, although they weren't necessarily converting on all those early on, and it looked like it was going to be trouble for us down low. We came back hard. Pretty even first half. They were up 4 at halftime, 49-45. We did end on a little run. I know towards the end, last 7-8 minutes of the first half, they got out to, I think it went up to 13-point lead, and we fought back. We got it down to 4 at half, which was good. It was huge. And then we just continued in the second half with I think it was 16-2 run we opened up the second half with. And then they fought back. They got it, I want to say, down to 2 at least in the second half. Big 3 by let's see, there was a big 3 by Kenny in the state game. I think this one was by Cam. There's a big 3 late in this game, I believe, if I'm not mixing them up. This one was by Cam. And yeah, we shot the ball well. Really, it all comes down to, we had 2 turnovers in the game. They only had 8. It's not like we forced a bunch, but our 2 turnovers were huge. It was a record for Roy Williams coach games. I think since last year Dean Smith coached, the last time we had. For anybody to have 2 turnovers in a game, like, that's incredible. Usually you're playing a far outmatched opponent. For us to be playing Duke and to have only 2 turnovers is just crazy. The guys were locked in, really took care of the ball tremendously. So that's the one huge key for us. And the other one is, rebounds in general. We rebounded them 44-38, which you look at their lineup and our lineup, we have no business out rebounding them. But even on top of that, we out rebounded them on offensive boards 20-11. We had 20 offensive boards. Again, we're playing small, we're playing young guys. Obviously they're playing young guys too, but they've been doing it all year. And talented, tall, just incredible. So let's see. Yeah, at one point our biggest lead is 10 in the second half. Theirs was 12 in the first period. So it was the early first half lead for them was 12. But offensive points off offensive rebounds, we outscored them 12-7. Fast break points is just 10-5. Points off turnovers, like I said, we only had 2 turnovers. They only had 8, but we did score 9 points off those turnovers. We only got 4 points off the bench to their 19, which is kind of crazy the way they've been playing the bench. But also talks to kind of the foul trouble we got them into. Duval, however he wants you to say his name now, got into foul trouble, eventually fouled out. Gary Trent Jr. was probably the biggest one. We got him into foul trouble. Wendell Carter Jr. in the first half got into foul trouble, which actually brought in Marquise Bolden, and he played well for them. He ended up with 8 points, 4 from 4 off the bench, where a lot of those points came from. Alex O'Connell came off and scored 11 for them off the bench, and actually got the start in the next game. They benched Duval, and I don't remember who they're playing, Georgia Tech or something, got the win. But and that speaks to, again, something else I think was big for us is Roy sticks. He's stubborn. We all know that. He doesn't call timeouts. He doesn't kind of change it up. But the guys know what to expect from him. He is so consistent and sticks to what he knows and what he does. Everybody knows what to expect. I mean, we'll get to it in the state game. They go on that big run, and everybody's saying timeout, timeout, timeout. We know he's not going to call the timeout, but the guys know that as well, and so they know what to expect and know their roles, that kind of stuff. In this game, Coach K changed up, probably did some things that they maybe never even practiced, and so that's it messes with guys when they're in an uncomfortable situation or something they've never done. At one point, Coach K had Wendell Carter Jr., Marvin Bagley, and Marcus Bolden all in the second half. So that's a huge lineup for them. But we got out and ran those guys. We actually took advantage of some mismatches. Theo taking guys off the dribble, Joel taking guys off the dribble. But we just got out in transition, outran those big guys. And, they were tired from playing lots of minutes. Marvin Bagley played 39 minutes. Grayson Allen played 40. Gary Trent Jr. played 35. I mean, there was a stretch in there where we looked really good. And we were just outrunning those big guys. And, again, it's to me, and even while he had to some with the foul trouble, but Coach K playing his bench, we saw a game, or I didn't see it, but we heard of a game where Duke played like 6 bench minutes. Like all the starters played except for 6 minutes in the game. And here, Bolden's getting 17, O'Connell's getting 18. Really the only 2, but Jack White got a couple, and that was early in the game. But it's again putting guys in situations where they haven't been before, and Roy just doesn't do that. He plays. He gives Brandon Robinson a few minutes in the first half, Platek a few minutes, Seventh Woods a few minutes in the first half. And so they know what to expect and what's expected of them in those minutes. And they got production from their bench. But to me, just changing it up like that it messes with guys. So, yeah, that's kind of my takeaways for us leaders. We had Kenny, huge game, tied his career high 20 points. He was 6 for 12 from 3. Joel Berry didn't shoot well. He's 1 from 8 for 3, 7 for 20 overall, but ended up with 21 points, 6 assists. Everybody had 0 turnovers, except Theo had the 2 turnovers that we had. But even Theo, only 4 points, but huge. He had the dunk to kind of seal it. Huge missed dunk. May go down as one of the biggest missed dunks in Carolina history, especially Carolina Duke history. But I had 4 assists, 7 rebounds, a block, couple steals, and Theo was being Theo. Luke wasn't spectacular, but 15 points, 8 rebounds. And we've seen where the Michigan State game and some of those games where Luke doesn't play well, he ends up with 4 points, 6 points, and 3 rebounds or 6 rebounds. And so 15 and 8, respectable. Not stuff that Luke has been doing all year, but he can't do that every game. I don't think we can expect that. Cameron Johnson, 18 points, career high 13 rebounds. And again, offensive rebounds. Cam Johnson had 6. Luke May had 4, half of his rebounds. Garrison Brooks had 4 out of his 5 rebounds are offensive boards. Brandon Robinson came in and gave us a point and an offensive rebound. And Sterling Manley went 4 for 4 for free throws in the first half. He only played 4 minutes, gave us 4 points and a rebound. So, great game by the guys. Again, I don't want to get too deep into all this. We shot the ball fairly well, 11 for 33 overall from the three-point line. They were 9 for 25, 11 for 13 from the free throw line. Overall, we shot 39%. So, not a spectacular number, but we shot well, and we actually shot, because of all those offensive rebounds, we shot 15 times more than them. So that's kind of what it boils down to, especially with the lineup they had compared to ours. So going a little bit long here on Duke, but just great second half, great balance from our team, and Roy kind of sticking to what Roy does. And then 2 days later, we go to Raleigh to play State. Ended up with a 96-89 win. This one was definitely a game of runs. We got out to an early, 10, 12-point lead. They go on a 19-0 run. That, again, Roy doesn't take those timeouts. They get the lead. see if I can. At halftime, they were up 2. We did weather the storm a little bit, and that's the thing. For them to go on a 19-point lead, they had somebody was shooting threes for them, wasn't it? I'm trying to think of when Doran is the one that went off for the most. It wasn't from 3, I guess. I feel like there's somebody knocking down threes in the first half. And I think Yurtseven did most of his work in the first half. But again, for them to go on a 19-0 run and us to only be down 2 at halftime was huge. We came out hot again in the second half. We shot 78% for the second half, which is crazy. 56 for the game. Didn't shoot threes all that well. Joel was 1 for 3. Kenny was 2 for 3. Luke was 2 for 3. And Brandon was 1 for 2. And that's it. Cam Johnson was 0 for 5. But we took care of business. Trying to see what I got written down here. Yeah, shooting percentage was outrageous. Our second chance points again. We had 15 offensive rebounds to their 7. They only had 24 rebounds altogether to our 41. And let's try to see if I can find. There you go. Second chance points 21-7 in our favor. They beat us off the bench again. Fast break was pretty close. So really that's what comes down to our shooting ability. And again, we shot 7 more shots than them in this one, 71 shots. We took to their 64. And Luke May was the story. He had 6 points at halftime, I think, scored 27 in that second half, along with 17 rebounds, 8 of those being offensive rebounds. And he took a Steph Curry 3 from way out there. And at first, when he took that 3, I was like, oh, I didn't even notice the shot clock was gone. They showed the replay. There were still 9 seconds on the shot clock. He pulled up from 7 feet behind the 3-point line or something like that, and just knocked it down. And the story was Luke May in the second half. Did have 6 turnovers, but 3 assists, a couple of blocks, and when you're shooting like he was and scoring and rebounding like he was, go ahead and turn it over 6 times. It's okay. We did have a little too many turnovers, 19, but all 5 starters in double figures, so we get that balance. Again, when we were going that 3-game losing streak, it was 2 guys just going off and everybody else not doing anything. But we get 16 from Joel, we get 13 from Cam, 11 from Kenny, 11 from Theo, 7 assists from Theo, 5 from Sterling Manley off the bench, we took care of business at State. We took care of that rivalry game. And then we had to move on to Notre Dame. And if you remember last podcast, I predicted we'd go 1-2 because I didn't think we'd beat Duke, and I think we'd split with the other 2. I said if we did pull the upset against Duke, we could go 2-1. I did not see us going 3-0, and the guys proved me wrong. I'm okay with that. I was cheering for that. They did look tired in the Notre Dame game, but Notre Dame has a lot of guys that play a lot of minutes as well. They looked a little tired as well. Notre Dame game, we pull off an 83-66 win. I can kind of see it was a little past midway through the second half. We just kind of said, okay, this is it. We're done messing around. Let's get this win. Let's get some rest and move on to the season. But we did let Mooney, after their big guy, was it Gebbin, I think, got 2 early fouls. He played like 3 minutes in the first half. Moody came in. He was 5 for 5 from 3 in the first half, ended up being 6 for 6, and then also got fouled on a 3-point shot in the second half, about midway through the second half, and missed all 3 free throws. And that was kind of like, it just clicked for the guys, like, okay, that's enough. We're done messing around. Joel ended up with 21 points, Kenny 14, Theo had 16, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. He joked that he was going for the triple-double in this game, but guys kept missing shots, so he ended up with those 5 assists. But Cam Johnson, 13 points. Luke May, only 8 points, 8 rebounds. So I guess we can expect him to kind of go off against Louisville, because usually when he has a poor game, he comes back really tough. Let's see, off the bench, Sterling Manley, 4 points, and then a couple from Brandon and Playtech, it looks like, and then Brandon Huffman, 3 late in the game as well. But this one, I don't know, it was kind of an ugly game. It was just kind of workmanlike, like nothing fancy about it. Except probably Cam Johnson's exaggerated layup, as Kenny Williams would say, but his dunk over top of Notre Dame, he did get up and flush one pretty hard against Notre Dame. So other than that, it was just kind of like, yeah, a couple of tired teams kind of playing, and we came out ahead. We didn't shoot from three well. We were 38%, I guess we saved. Didn't shoot well in the second half, but ended up 53% from the field. Didn't shoot free throws all that well, 65%. Out-rebounded them 42-29 again, 12 more offensive rebounds. Only 6 turnovers for both teams in this game. And yeah, it was just kind of nothing fancy about it. Just kind of, we took care of business. So Notre Dame, yeah, with the Mooney threes in the first half, there was a lot of fouls called, just kind of no rhythm to the game. They were slowing down the game, trying to make it, fewer possessions, and we did only shoot 60 shots in this game compared to their 58, whereas we were shooting, 70 in the 70s against the other two games, 71 against State and 77 against Duke. So they did slow it down, hung with us. But again, without Bonzie Colson, there's no reason we shouldn't lose that game. The only part that had me worried was the tiredness, and the crowd was pretty good in the Smith Center. It was awesome for the Duke game. And then, got the job done against Notre Dame, kind of like the team did. That's about what it is. It brings us to 9-5 in the ACC. And actually, I think it was before the Notre Dame game on Sunday, CBS and the selection committee released, and we were a 3 seed if the tournament were to start now and the season was over. So higher than kind of what we thought, especially after that 3-game losing streak. We were kind of worried everybody was saying we need 4 more wins. Where are they going to come from, and kind of stuff. And then we go out and we've won at least 3 since then. So great turnaround. Now we got to take care of business going forward and keep it rolling. Only 1 more home game for Theo, for Joel. That's Miami in a couple weeks. We'll talk about that one on the next podcast. But in the next week here, we got Louisville coming up on Saturday. So we played Monday. We got all the way till Saturday. So the guys got a couple days of rest on Tuesday, Wednesday. Put in some practice Thursday and Friday, and they'll, I'm sure, leave. I don't know if they'll practice before or if they practice when they get to Louisville, but we play them Saturday. That's an 8 p.m. Eastern tip. It'll be on ESPN, obviously at their place. And then next Wednesday, a week from when I'm recording this on the 14th, the 21st, it'll be a 7 p.m. Eastern tip against Syracuse, at Syracuse, and that's also on ESPN. It looks like the rest of our games, Miami, Duke, are both on ESPN as well. So we can watch those easily. And Louisville likes to still play the Rick Pitino style. They got his assistant there, David Pageant, and they're still looking to press, turn you over. Got talent there, but I don't know. I feel like it's a game we should win, as long as we don't just take it for granted that, hey, we're playing well, we should be able to go in and win. If we shoot the ball, and that's the thing too. I said it. I don't know if it was the last podcast. We're kind of going to live and die by the 3. If we can knock them down, it's not that that's all we can shoot and that's all we can make, but we have to be making them, and definitely getting good looks to keep guys honest, so that we can drive and we can open up the floor a little bit, get in transition and stuff like that. But Kenny's shooting better. Cam is really knocking down his shots. Theo is being aggressive, going to the hole. Luke is being Luke, what we've seen this year. So I'm tempted. I'm tempted, really tempted, and maybe I'm just going up and down with how the team's playing, and I don't know, not being biased enough, but I feel like Louisville and Syracuse are both games that we should win. Obviously, from Syracuse, we know we're going to see that 2-3 zone, and it's can we get it to the middle of that zone, and can we knock down some threes, and can we get in transition and then stop them from scoring. Syracuse is not the same team they've been offensively. But yeah, we still have to get the job done. So we should beat them both, I think. But it's not to say we can't. Obviously, Duke went to Boston College and lost there. These are 2 road games here. We've been playing well. We can't get too big-headed or get ahead of ourselves or anything like that. We got to take care of business here. We really got to work towards getting that 4 seed in the ACC tournament to get that double bye. It's so huge, and there's such a clutter really from 3 down to like 9 or 10 in the conference that we could end up, I think we could pass Duke and get into that 3 spot in the ACC, but I mean, if we're not careful, we could easily drop down and be like a 7-8 seed as well. So hopefully, I mean, honestly, just that to get that 4 seed is what we need for the SEC or for the ACC tournament. So, and then we'll talk about Miami and Duke on the next podcast. It's crazy that the end of the season is so close. But like I said, I'm glad that you guys have joined this conversation. Let me know if you want me to try to keep it closer. I'm already here close to 20 minutes, so didn't probably do a very good job this time. But let me know what you think about the length of the podcast. Should it be 15 to 20 minutes or should it be 25 to 30 minutes? Love to hear your feedback. Before I do go, want to see if we got any questions here. We got quite a few comments and questions here, so I'm going to try to run through these quickly. Don Juan says 3-0 baby, ran through that gauntlet with no blemish. Tar Heel Nation, absolutely. Like I said, blew my mind because I did not expect that as well. Carl says, I predicted we would blow Duke out, and we almost did. Yeah, I don't know that we'd call a 4-point win a blowout against Duke, but it's probably a little bit more than a 4-point lead win as well. James Laughinghouse says, there we go, win them all. That's right. Hopefully we can keep that going. Don Juan again says, I'm going to miss Theo and Barry. One more home game. Tears in my eyes, like when Marcus left. Absolutely, it's going to be. I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting what their speeches are like, but it should be an electric game. Hopefully, Miami is one of those middle teams we need to win, along with Louisville. But it should be a great crowd. Should be a sold out crowd, and absolutely, it'll be sad to see those guys go. Even though people have given Theo such a hard time as well. Carl says, I think the key to our success this year is Kenny staying confident and, of course, health. Yeah, obviously health is everybody every year. But it is Kenny and Cam knocking down those threes. Joel has been a little spotty, but people know he's going to take them and he's capable of making them. They got to be honest. We got to make sure they feel threatened by Kenny and Cam as well. Don Juan says, I just think Kenny, Luke, and Cam will be back. Plus all those guys, another year of experience. Those big guys hopefully will be ready to contribute next year as well. Plus the guys we got coming in. Carl says, the reason I don't fear Duke anymore is because Coach K doesn't have them chuck up threes and try to draw charge fouls. Be careful about that. We'll talk about that next podcast when we preview the second Duke game. But I don't think a lot has changed there in that, as far as that goes. Carolina feast on teams with traditional offenses. To beat UNC, you need a scheme. Don Juan says Kobe will be a beast with Little. Will be super next year too. Don Juan says Roy is a better coach than Rat Face. Well, I think we all know that. Carl, although I mean Roy, especially in that game, it showed that he did outcoach K in that game. I think the adjustments we made at halftime were phenomenal. Carl says, lastly, if Coach K continues to run traditional offense versus UNC, I predict we'll start to dominate the series again. Yeah, we'll see. And then Carl ends off, I think you should be you as far as the podcast goes. So I appreciate that, Carl. I appreciate you guys listening, throwing in those comments. And I definitely won't change who I am. I do just enjoy your guys' input as well as far as how the podcast should look. I'll definitely say what I'm going to say and do what I'm going to do, that kind of stuff. So you don't have to worry about that stuff. But yeah, I don't want to rush it. I know what you're saying. I don't want to rush it, but I also don't want to just draw it on too long. I'm not going to do a certain length and then just kind of stop without saying some stuff I want to say. But yeah, I do appreciate that. And with that being said, that is all I have this time. So probably went a little bit longer than I was shooting for, but I guess, yeah, that's what we're going to get. So it is what it is. Until next week, we'll be looking at and reviewing those, jumping into the Louisville game, the Syracuse game, see how we did on the road. So we have not played well on the road. And then, but maybe State turned that around as well. And then also, obviously, looking at the last 2 games of the regular season as well. And we'll be into March after that. So that's just crazy. But that's all I got here. Thanks for joining in, for listening. Until next time, go Heels.